You ever get that gut feeling something's off, but you can't quite prove it? Not a scream. Just a whisper. A cold draft through a door you didn't remember opening. That was me, about 4 months ago. My wife, Tara, came home one night with a kind of tired that didn't match her day. She used to work front desk at a vet clinic, quit last year after they cut her hours. Since then, we'd been scraping by, me doing warehouse shifts, her picking up whatever she could find on Facebook groups and local boards. Then she told me about the job. Said it was an easy gig helping out an old man, cooking, cleaning, nothing weird. She was proud of how much they paid. It's just a few afternoons a week, babe, she said. He's got no family and he's super chill. Honestly, I feel bad for the guy. I didn't think much of it at first. We needed the money. Rent wasn't gonna wait, and Lord knows our fridge was looking tragic. The first 2 weeks, she seemed lighter. Came home with takeout sometimes. Picked up new sneakers for our kid without even flinching. Even made a payment on that dental bill we'd been ignoring for months. I was relieved. Grateful, even. But then the little things started. She bought a perfume I'd never smelled before, something musky and expensive. She started leaving the house dressed like she was going to a damn gallery opening, not to clean up after some old guy. Tight jeans. That black blouse she used to wear on date nights. Gloss on her lips. I'm representing myself, you know, she said when I teased her. He's paying me well. Gotta look the part. Okay. Fine. But then she started staying later. What started as, home by 7, turned into, just grabbing a drink with his neighbor, or, he asked me to stay and organize some papers. Once, she came home past 10. And something in her eyes was different. Not drunk. Not tired. Just, emotionally distant. Like her soul had wandered into a nicer apartment and forgot to come back. I didn't say anything. What was I gonna say? Hey, I think you're emotionally cheating on me with a 70-year-old. It sounded ridiculous even in my head. But that was the thing, she never mentioned his age. Just kept calling him Mr. Vincent. No clue if he was frail or fit, married or single, wheelchair-bound or sprinting laps in the yard. I didn't even know what part of town he lived in. And when I asked, casually, like a good husband, she brushed it off. It's in Westbridge. Big gated place off Cherry Hill. You wouldn't know it. Except I did know Westbridge. And I damn sure knew Cherry Hill Drive. It wasn't just nicer. It was luxury. BMWs in every driveway. Security cameras and lawn sculptures and mailboxes that cost more than our couch. That night, I waited till she fell asleep and checked the recent destinations on her phone. There it was, 1347, Cherry Hill Drive. So much for casual. I googled the place. It was no cottage. It was a damn estate. 6 bedrooms. Pool. Columns in the front like a courthouse. Zillow said it was worth $2.4 million. That's when the first real weight dropped in my chest. Why the hell would a man who lives in a house like that, alone, need a broke mom from the south side as a housekeeper? And why would she lie about how big it was? I sat on the edge of the bed that night, watching her sleep. Wondering how long she'd been drifting from me, days, weeks, months. Wondering if she'd already left and just hadn't told me yet. The next morning, I kissed her goodbye like always. And I called in sick. I wasn't sick. I was done being blind. I packed a sandwich, filled my tank, and drove out to Cherry Hill Drive like a ghost. Parked 2 blocks away. Waited. At 3:11 p.m., I saw her car. She pulled into the driveway like she belonged there. The gate opened automatically. She didn't even stop. 30 minutes later, she came out to the patio with a glass of wine. I was too far to hear anything. But I saw everything. Saw her sit down on a cushioned lounge chair beside a man who didn't look 70. Didn't even look 60. Slick hair. Strong shoulders. Linen shirt unbuttoned just enough to say he had nothing to hide. The kind of guy who spent more on sunglasses than I did on tires. She laughed at something he said. She touched his knee. And I swear to God, in that moment, the sun felt colder. I didn't get out. Didn't scream. Didn't make a scene. I just gripped the steering wheel till my knuckles went white. And for the first time in our marriage, I knew she wasn't coming home just for me. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the ceiling until it blurred. I heard every sound, the hum of the fridge, the creak of her turning in bed, the dog barking somewhere down the street. She mumbled in her sleep around 2:30 a.m. something like, "He said it's fine." I didn't ask who. I didn't want to know. Not yet. In the morning, I told her I picked up a weekend shift. She kissed my cheek, light, automatic, and headed out, no questions asked. That bothered me more than anything. I wasn't going to work. I was going back to that house. But not just to watch. This time, I had a plan. I parked down the block again, but now I came dressed like I belonged, slacks, a collared shirt, clipboard in hand. Walked straight up to the front gate and buzzed. A security camera blinked at me. "Delivery for Mr. Vincent," I said. Pause. Then the gate clicked open. And just like that, I was in. The house looked even bigger up close. The kind of clean that comes from staff, not habits. The lawn manicured like a damn golf course. I rang the doorbell with a thumping heart. A maid opened it. Middle-aged. Quiet. Barely looked at me. "Mr. Vincent's on the terrace," she said, not even asking who I was. Through the kitchen, second left. The inside? Marble floors. Art everywhere. Air smelled like citrus and money. I moved slow, listening, observing. Voices drifted in from the patio. Hers, and his. Tara was laughing. Flirting. The sound was unfamiliar, too free, too young. She never laughed like that at home. I peeked through the glass. She was leaned in close to him, her hand on his forearm. Wearing a dress I'd never seen. Not short. Not too much. But expensive. Classy. And paired with heels I'm damn sure I didn't buy. Mr. Vincent said something and she reached for his face. I stepped back from the glass like it burned me. I wanted to walk out. To run. But something made me stay. Some morbid curiosity, some sick need to see just how far she'd gone. So I explored. The house was quiet inside, except for one hallway, lined with doors. I opened the first one. An office. Modern. Pristine. A photo on the desk, Mr. Vincent, holding a glass of wine, with his arm around someone. Tara. My wife. Smiling wide. In a gold dress. Her hand on his chest. The photo was framed. Not hidden. Not secret. It had dust on it. It wasn't recent. My blood froze. I checked the date on the wall calendar behind them. It was from 2 years ago. Tara and I had been together. Married. Living paycheck to paycheck while she told me we just had to hold on. I opened a drawer. Bank papers. Documents with her name. Legal forms I didn't understand, except for one phrase in bold at the top. Power of attorney. And below it, her signature. Tara Hale. My throat tightened. She wasn't just working for him. She had control over him. Over his accounts. His property. His house. The next drawer held a folder labeled Estate Planning. I opened it with shaking hands. There it was. Handwritten notes. Financial transfers. Mentions of potential asset reallocation, with initials beside each point. Th. I backed out of the room like I'd walked into a crime scene. She wasn't just cheating. She was replacing me. Replacing our life. And the worst part? I didn't think she even saw it that way. To her, it was just an opportunity. By the time I got back outside, she was gone from the terrace. I left. Quiet. Fast. Drove in silence, parked 3 blocks from home, and just sat there. Hands on the wheel. Mind spinning. That night, I didn't say a word. Neither did she. She kissed me on the cheek, thanked me for letting her work late, and slipped into the shower. I stared at the bathroom door like it was made of glass. I could almost see her silhouette. I could almost hear her lies building up behind the steam. The next day, I called a lawyer. Not for divorce. Not yet. But to understand exactly what the hell I was up against. Because she wasn't just cheating on me anymore. She was making herself untouchable. And I was about to burn her new house down, one truth at a time. I didn't sleep again. Not even a little. Just sat in the kitchen long after midnight, lights off, beer warm in my hand. I kept staring at her purse hanging by the door, like it might start whispering secrets. In the morning, I didn't wait for her to say goodbye. I said it first. Don't bother cooking tonight, I told her, eyes locked. We'll eat separate. She blinked like I'd spoken in another language. What's that supposed to mean? I shrugged. Figure it out. She hesitated, probably deciding whether to push or play nice. She chose the latter. Okay, babe. Whatever you say. And just like that, she left. Like everything was normal. I called in sick again. But this time, I didn't go to Westbridge. I went to the courthouse. Took me 2 hours and a pile of ID verifications, but I pulled the documents. Property records, power of attorney filings. All public, if you knew how to ask. What I found. Mr. Vincent had recently updated his will. Guess who the primary beneficiary was? Not a charity. Not a cousin. Not a nurse. Tara Hale. My wife. Who told me this was just a job. Who still came home and acted like she was struggling, like we were scraping by. She stood to inherit his house. His bank accounts. His vintage Jaguar. And she'd never mentioned a word. On the drive back home, I practiced what I'd say. How I'd ask. How I'd trap her without her seeing it coming. But when I walked in the door that night, everything just broke loose. She was already home, sitting on the couch, sipping wine like a queen. Wearing the same earrings she wore on that patio. Long day? She asked, pretending not to notice my mood. I didn't answer. Just walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer, and slammed the folder down on the table. She turned slowly. What's that? Your second life, I said. All spelled out. She didn't move. Didn't even blink. Took me a while, I said. But once I saw the house, I knew. You don't serve wine in a silk dress to a man you're just helping. Her lips parted. You followed me. That's what you're worried about. I laughed, cold, hollow. Not the fact that you've been conning a rich man into handing over everything he owns while lying to your own husband. She stood up, slow and deliberate. I didn't con anyone. No. I stepped closer. So those documents just appeared with your name on them. You didn't seduce an old man into trusting you, into letting you handle his affairs, into rewriting his entire life to include you. Her eyes narrowed. He's not old. Wrong answer. You think that makes it better? I snapped. That he's not in a hospital bed? That he's fit and still thinks your smile means something real. She crossed her arms. He needed help. I gave him that. He gave me trust. And me? I asked. What did I get? She looked away. I asked you simple things, I said. Where you were going. Who he was. If you were okay. And every time, you lied. It wasn't lying, she said, voice rising. It was protecting us. From what? I yelled. The truth. She stared at me. And for the first time, I saw something real in her eyes. Regret? Maybe. Or just the fear of being caught. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. But it did. I grabbed the folder, flipped it open, pointed to the will. You were planning to leave, weren't you? No. Bullshit. You were building an exit plan. The new clothes. The cash. The makeup. The silence. You were waiting for him to hand you everything so you could disappear. Her hands trembled. He's a lonely man, she said. He's kind. He listens. He doesn't make me feel small. I stepped back, stunned. So I made you feel small? She didn't answer. While I worked overtime? While I paid our bills and waited for you to come home from work? She walked to the window, arms wrapped tight around herself. I was tired of waiting for things to change, she muttered. With him, things did change. And there it was. Not denial. Not excuses. Just the ugly, bare truth. She wanted more. And instead of earning it, she lied her way into it. So what now? I asked, voice like gravel. She turned. Her mascara had smudged slightly. I don't know. I do, I said. And I walked past her, out the door, folder in hand. I didn't slam it. That would have felt too dramatic. Instead, I left it slightly open. Just enough to let the cold air in. Because she needed to feel what I'd been feeling for weeks. Like the home she thought was hers, didn't want her anymore. It started the next morning. After I left the night before, I stayed in the truck for over an hour. Didn't drive anywhere. Just sat there, engine off, replaying the confrontation in my head on a loop. When I came back home around midnight, her side of the bed was empty. She was gone. I didn't ask where. Didn't care. But the silence didn't last long. By 9 a.m., my phone buzzed with the first message, from her sister. Whatever's going on between you and Tara, don't make it worse. She's hurting. Hurting. I laughed out loud. Hurting like a woman who spent months building a second life behind my back. Hurting like someone who played house in another man's mansion while still sleeping in mine. But that was just the beginning. By noon, mutual friends started texting too. People I hadn't talked to in months. We heard what happened. She didn't deserve to be thrown out. At least let her explain. And that's when I knew, she wasn't staying silent. She was controlling the narrative. I checked social media. And there it was. A long, flowery post on her Facebook, complete with a black and white photo of her staring into the distance like a damn perfume ad. Sometimes women stay quiet for too long. We give, and give, and give, until there's nothing left for ourselves. I made mistakes, but I also found clarity. I was suffocating. And no woman deserves to live like that. I'm choosing myself now. Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. Stay strong, Queen. Your peace matters. He probably never appreciated you anyway. I didn't comment. Didn't react. But my stomach turned. She wasn't just shifting blame, she was rewriting the story completely. And people were eating it up. Friends. Family. Strangers. They didn't know she was living in another man's house 3 nights a week. They didn't know she had power of attorney over someone else's fortune. That she was about to inherit half a mansion while I worked overtime just to keep our lights on. I told no one. Not yet. But I kept the folder close. Then it got worse. She showed up at my work. I was on break, sitting in the warehouse lot with a sandwich in hand when I saw her walk up, hair curled, makeup light but perfect, wearing the same coat she used to wear on our date nights. "Tara," I said flatly. She held up both hands. "I just want to talk." I didn't move. She came closer. "You embarrassed me," she said, voice low. "You blindsided me." I stared at her. "You embarrassed yourself." "I just opened the door." She looked down. "You don't understand what he meant to me. How I felt being seen again." "Seen?" I scoffed. "You mean admired? Pampered? Paid?" Her eyes flashed. "You're angry. I get it. But that doesn't give you the right to destroy me." "You already did that to me," I said. She paused. "You think this is about money?" "No," I snapped. "It's about how I thought I was married to someone who was in the same boat as me. Turns out, while I was patching the holes, you were building yourself a yacht on someone else's dock." She flinched. But she recovered fast. And then she said something that still burns. "I don't owe you anything." Those words. Like a match dropped in gasoline. I stood up. Walked right past her. And that's when I knew. She wanted war. Fine. But I wasn't gonna fight it her way, with lies and lipstick and curated pity posts. I was gonna fight with facts. And I knew exactly where to drop them. 2 days later, I made a post of my own. Just one sentence above a PDF of the legal documents, power of attorney, revised will, a screenshot of her and Mr. Vincent on the patio, time-stamped. I never thought I'd be the one to do this. But silence protects the wrong people. No hashtags. No emojis. Just truth. And the internet did what it does best. It exploded. Her original post. Buried. People weren't dumb. Once they saw the receipts, the tone changed fast. "Girl, you manipulated an old man. Wait, you forged power of attorney. Why didn't you just divorce him first?" She went dark. Deleted her post. Blocked me. Blocked mutuals. Even deleted Instagram altogether. But it was too late. Because the wave had turned. People messaged me privately, apologies, support, even screenshots of conversations they'd had with her where she spun more lies. Her sister even texted me, "I didn't know. I'm sorry." And then. Mr. Vincent called me. Yes. Him. He asked to meet. At first, I didn't want to. I wanted nothing to do with that house, that man, or anything connected to her betrayal. But curiosity won. I drove back to Cherry Hill Drive. He was waiting on the porch. Clean-shaven. Calm. Holding 2 glasses of tea. "She's not here anymore," he said as I sat down. I didn't respond. "I had no idea she was married," he added. "She never told me." "She didn't tell me she had access to your will," I replied. He looked away. "Her charm," he said, "was real. But the rest wasn't." We sat in silence. Then he said something I'll never forget. "She used me because I was alone. I let her in because she made me feel 20 years younger. But it was never real." "No," I said. "But what she did to me. That was very real." He nodded. "You still love her?" I took a long breath. I loved who I thought she was. And with that, I left. No yelling. No scene. Just a clean, cold ending. Like a door shutting for good. It was 2 weeks after everything blew up. 2 weeks since my post went viral. Since she vanished from the internet. Since I walked out of Mr. Vincent's house and never looked back. The texts had stopped. The flying monkeys, her friends, her sister, the ones who said, "She's hurting," had all gone silent. I thought she finally got the message. Then came the knock. I knew it was her before I opened the door. Some instinct. Some internal tension that snapped the second her knuckles hit wood. She was standing there like she was waiting for a movie scene to start, wind in her hair, face bare, not a hint of makeup. Her coat too thin for the chill, arms crossed tight. She looked small. But I wasn't falling for that again. "Hi," she said. I didn't answer. "Can I come in?" "No." She nodded like she expected that. Looked at the porch beneath her feet. "I'm not here to fight." "Good," I said, "because you already lost." She flinched. But stayed. "I just want to explain." "You already did. You called it clarity. Remember? I didn't mean it like. Save it," I said. "I don't need your version. I've got the receipts." Her mouth opened. Closed. She shifted her weight like she wanted to run but wouldn't give herself permission. "I didn't think it would hurt you like this," she finally said. I laughed, sharp, joyless. "You mean you didn't think I'd find out?" She shook her head. "No. I mean I didn't expect to care this much that I did hurt you." I stared at her. "So what do you want? Redemption? Closure? One last hug before you vanish back to your new life?" "No," she said quietly. "I want to say goodbye." That caught me off guard. She looked up at me, eyes glistening. "I've been staying at a friend's. Trying to figure things out. And I know you probably don't care anymore, but I wanted you to hear it from me before I leave town." I leaned against the doorframe. "Leaving with him?" She winced. "No. He cut me off after he saw everything. I think he realized I wasn't who he thought I was either." "So you lost both of us," I said. She didn't argue. "I've been replaying everything," she said. "How I started lying. Why. It wasn't just greed. It was this voice in my head saying I deserved more. And I was the one who gave you less." "No," she said softly. "You gave me everything. I wanted what I hadn't earned." We stood there in silence. She looked around, taking in the porch, the street, the place that used to be hers. "You redecorated," she said. "Yeah. It looks better." "I know." She swallowed hard. "I loved you, you know." "You loved what I gave you," I said. "Stability. Trust. A soft place to land." "That too," she whispered. There was nothing left to say. Nothing that would rewrite the damage, reverse the lies, rebuild the ruins. So I nodded once. "Goodbye, Tara." She nodded back. "Goodbye." And she walked away. Not with drama. Not with tears. Just, gone. I watched her go until she turned the corner and disappeared into the gray. The last trace of the woman I thought I married. And for the first time since everything unraveled, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. It's been 6 months since I last saw her. 6 months since she stood on my porch in the cold, asking for a goodbye she barely earned. Since she walked away without looking back. I never heard from her again. No letters. No calls. No posts. And I'm okay with that. The first few weeks were strange. Like stepping into a house where all the furniture had been moved 2 inches. Everything looked familiar, but nothing felt quite right. I'd walk past her coffee mug in the cabinet and stop. Catch myself reaching for 2 forks instead of 1. Expect her to walk through the door every time the wind shook the porch. But she never did. And slowly, that became a comfort. I changed things. Reclaimed things. Painted the walls. Donated the couch. Took her books down from the shelf and replaced them with ones I actually read. It sounds petty. But it wasn't. It was survival. Mr. Vincent never reached out again. I figured he was nursing his own wounds, or maybe he just wanted distance. Either way, I didn't blame him. The house, last I heard, was in legal limbo. His family, distant cousins or someone, came in to contest the will once Tara's involvement came to light. I stayed out of it. It wasn't mine to fight. What was mine? My name. My peace. My time. And my house. That's what I held on to. One night, about 3 months after everything, I was at the grocery store. Late run. Almost empty place. I was scanning cereal boxes when someone tapped my shoulder. "Excuse me," she said. I turned. A woman, maybe early 30s. Dark curly hair. No makeup. Hoodie. Holding a box of tea and a tired smile. "I think you dropped this," she said, handing me my debit card. Must have slipped when I pulled out my phone. I thanked her. She smiled and started to walk away. Then paused. "I like the shirt," she said. It was just a plain navy tee. Nothing special. But I smiled anyway. "Thanks," I replied. "It's new. Part of a rebranding effort." She laughed. "Well, it's working." She disappeared into another aisle. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. That moment was enough. Not because I thought she was the one or because of some Hollywood spark. But because I'd smiled, and meant it. Because I'd felt light for the first time in months. A few days ago, I took a walk through the park where Tara and I used to go on Sundays. There's a bench we always sat on, near the duck pond. It still had the same crack in the middle. Still leaned a little to the right. I sat down. Watched a kid throw breadcrumbs into the water. Watched a dog chase its tail. Watched the sky turn orange as the sun dipped low. And I thought. Maybe pain is just the body's way of telling you you're ready for something new. Not better. Not worse. Just different. The version of me she left behind died quietly. And the man who sat on that bench, watching the sky. He knew something she never understood. You don't get to keep a home you tried to hollow out. She came back broken. But the door stayed closed.